Peace, family.
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
Hey.
Sunday sitting with sisters.
Sitting with them now. Sitting with them.
Okay, I got my girl Ro from the Earth Mama Healing Network.
Woo.
And Dr. Camille Strong and myself, Dana Maisha. Hope y'all doing well.
And we're back on point, y'all. Sorry we've been away. Life happens. Like even this morning, I had to do some other stuff, which is why I'm a little late. And, so that's a whole other story. But we got a bunch of stuff to talk about, y'all. We got to jump in here.
Yes.
We're going to jump in here. Peace, Dr. Clavo. She got an event coming up, too.
Oh, talk about your, drop your comment about your event so we can talk about it.
Because this is healing. Let the healing begin.
Oh, okay.
And she's with the Healing 5 Foundation. I'm trying to remember. Please forgive me.
Just drop the comment in there.
Yeah, that sister is what's up. And we want to support the healing work she's talking about is what we desperately need in our community. And so we're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. And one of the first things is great that she signed on because that kind of segues into one of the things we want to talk about was family disputes. Mm-hmm. And how do we solve family disputes? And when I say family, I use that very broadly. I have my immediate sisters who are family. I have my community sisters, my brothers, and I have a lot of different folk in there. And then when we get to the community and we start talking about family, well, that's when things get a little hard sometimes.
Yes, ma'am.
You know what I mean? Because when we have a dispute in family and we in community, that changes the whole ball game. Especially with this whole thing with R. Kelly and Bill Cosby and then we start, looking at different people and having issues and what do we do as family? On one hand, black folks say like, we don't want the enemy, but it's like, if somebody in your circle and they appear as your enemy, what do? You can't be protecting them and they killing you. Like, it's just really hard when it's black folks. I look at black movements of back in the day, and that's a lot of what happened. It imploded from within because we were acting like we were family and some of us were just not doing good stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Good morning, Dr. Clavo. Could you share your information about your event? Because I really want to pump that.
Mm-hmm. And peace, Teresa and Queen Alika.
Yeah. So how do we resolve that? What family disputes? And I say family as in your immediate family and in the community family.
Right.
Because, black folks, we use that term we a lot. And I don't even think we know what we really mean. We're not speaking French, we. So what would y'all recommend for that?
Well, I would say one of the things that we could try is when it comes to disputes, is about really learning how to, if you will, fight fair. I think a lot of times when we're trying to get our point across, understanding what the other person has to say becomes unimportant to us trying to get our point across. And then we move into a space to where now we're saying things that are totally derogatory to what we're trying to convey. So if we can learn and get the skills of fighting fair, meaning you don't say things that's going to trigger the person or hitting below the belt, i.e. calling someone out of their name and, different things like that. Sometimes we get comfortable with that because, that's my sister. So if I'm mad, I can say whatever I want. And that's not healthy, nor is it a good thing to do.
No.
Because then when it starts coming back, now you really want to be mad and nothing gets resolved.
I agree with that. And you know what? The thing about family, whether it's your personal family or it's your family that you call community, that is a part of your community, but maybe you guys build together or you have a common goal, or definitely the same desired outcome. Your family is not going to do something to hurt you. So when you said you make sure that, you're not hitting below the belt or saying anything that's going to trigger them, somebody that love you is not really going to want to intentionally hurt you. That's my humble opinion.
Right.
I think you can't avoid hurting people.
Right.
I just think you can't avoid. I think when you're hurt, you're going to say some shit that you wish you took back. And let's just be honest. It's like one of the things I kind of don't like about some of the stuff we do in our so-called schooling of restorative justice, which feels like bullshit sometimes, is that you always have to consider other people before yourself, and that is not cool. That is not cool. You know, when you're dealing with a dispute, there is some pain there. There is some hurt there. There's no cute way of saying, "Oh my God, you hurt my feelings." And you be like, "Look here, play it like a whatever." You know, hey, you know, or to make it even deeper, because I'm not even talking about that surface stuff. I'm talking about if somebody in our community was a predator or you know done some stuff to us. Do we politely think about their feelings? I don't really personally give a damn about your feelings. I think if you're doing stuff and it's been harming our community, you've been a predator in our community, you've been a pimp in our community, or whatever, I don't get to consider what your upbringing is. I don't even care what your upbringing is. I feel like we got to have a way of saying we have cancer. You don't treat cancer kindly. You don't go and say, "Excuse me, cancer, you're going to like eat me alive, so I have to..." No, hell no. It's like, no, dude, we got to cut this out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I'm thinking, how do we, you know, deal with disputes? Because disputes are, P-Shug, is serious. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. See, y'all want to right on.
We got some comments. So, y'all want me to read them? Or?
Yeah, go ahead. You can read them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can you turn that on?
All right.
Because I'm
loud. I know you are. Okay. And I don't know. Maybe I don't need this either.
No, you good. Go ahead.
So, Oma Lolu. Osun Alexander, and I apologize if I messed up your beautiful name. Okay, so that is happening now. I had a sister circle, but it's dead because of a bad apple.
Yep. Revamp that circle though, sis.
Yes, because sister circles are important. We need those. We need a place where we could come and exhale. Tina, good morning, Queen. Shug says, "Greetings and blessings. Thank you." Should. And then Queen goes on to say, "And see, I want a successful sister circle." Yes.
But
okay.
I agree. Success does not come without turmoil. So I think sometimes we think of success as everything gonna be smooth. If you ever really ran something in your life, there's ups and downs. You do a circle, it's 2 people, and the next day it's 30. Yeah, you know what I mean? Right. So you can never tell, especially when you're dealing with our community who we are very wounded. Like, for instance, a good example of this family dispute. So the brother acted as the martial artist, Jalil or Jalai, the martial artist dude, played in Spawn. Can't remember his name fully. But he talked about when he went to Africa, I guess a whole bunch of African-American celebrities went to Ghana for Christmas for some kind of festival, which was really great. And then when he got back, you know, he was in school, a lot of black folks was criticizing him. And so he kind of was like, wow, he felt some kind of way. So part of it is like, I know that mentally we are damaged as a people. Like, I totally get that part. But the other part is, in order to get us right, sometimes you have to cut out some of the stuff. All your skin folks ain't your kin folks. We are not all family. That's one thing. I think when you talked about the overall community, all of us not fair. I know people who have to diss their own personal family so that they can survive, because you can't be with toxic people. I experienced that sometime myself. When you having a good time and one of your family members get on some bullshit and they don't want to talk and they, you know, like that, I have to cut their ass out from them. I'm going to sit you on the shelf because you're not going to, I'm trying to be healthy. I can't do that toxic stuff. Yeah. You know, I don't, every time I'm talking to you, you tell me about all the bad stuff. You tell me about, oh my God, this person got cussed out. That's toxic when that's all you watch. So even though you're my family, I'm going to have to cut you out a little bit because I love you, but, you know, I can't, you know, the vibration. Like, I don't want to be on lower vibrations. They ain't good for me. They ain't good for my health. They ain't good for my mental health.
It's not good for none of our health. It really isn't. Especially if we... especially if we're call ourselves being out in the community and stuff like that, you end up projecting your own stuff on people.
You better tell it.
And that's something I try and guard against. I try not to spew venom and put that stuff out. Dr. Nicole Clavo says January 30th, 5:30 dinner. We'll be having our first monthly support group open to all grief and all ages. The Healing 5 family is looking to empower, engage, and motivate those who are looking to turn their pain into passion and purpose. I know that's right. Everyone's idea is important. Each month, we hope to have presenters. We will allow the space to be used to heal the community as a whole. Good. The event is from 6 to 8 p.m., 3337 Arden Way, or at the Arden Church of Nazarene. That is really nice. Thank you for sharing. Teresa says, we need to determine a code of contact. Girl, I wish I had a what you call it, as a fan, as a community, or as a community. We don't really have one. White people have a code of conduct. Black people need to determine what sort of conduct and abide by that as much as possible.
Right on. Okay, so let me just say that I agree. I agree with what she's saying overall. Okay. But let's be honest, y'all. White people are not a monolith. See, they get the benefit as white people to if 5 of them succeed, we think their whole race is succeeding. Mm-hmm. It working the opposite for black folks. If 5 of us are screwing up, then we think all the black folks are screwing up. And so I try to stay away from that all word. You'll hear me say some and a few, because all black people are not having the same reality. They're really not. Like, we may be experiencing some of the same things generally, but it's how I was always taught, it's how you respond to what has happened to you. That's why some black folks being like, I can't live with y'all in the hood like that. I love y'all, but I'm going to be cleaning in front of my house. I want you to take care of your house. That's why some people, they don't leave because they hate black folks. Mm-hmm. They leave because some of us, and I'm the same way on a lot of things. I don't want to be dealing with you. All you can do is complain about things and look at other groups. And again, you can't compare us to other groups because none of them came here and went through what we went through as a people. Mm-hmm. So it's unfair in a sense to compare us to any group, and including Africans who just got here from the continent. Mm-hmm. Can't put us all in the same box. It don't work like that. They came here with culture and language. I don't care if they came from war-torn countries and all that kind. They still were able to keep their culture. Mm-hmm. We did not get. We're really like a new created people. Mm. That's so obvious. I hear people say that and be like, "What are you talking about?" Mm. But as I get older, I understand it because the lens is. I have more history to the lens to understand why some of us don't really know who we are. Mm. Like for instance, no other group does the we. White people don't say we. If we gonna talk like that, white people don't see all of them as the same. They really don't. But they only get the benefit of the we when they're with other people. Because right now, because of 5% of their people have done so well, it really helps the other 95%.
Right.
Yeah. Just in imagery. Mm-hmm. Just in imagery alone.
I get that.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. But I get what you're saying. I just feel like that's why that family dispute thing is so, and I'm saying family because I think all of us are not family. I'm just going to be honest. I think some of us are together on an experience, but some of us are fighting to be the people who've oppressed us, and some of us are fighting to be free and be like, I ain't trying to be with this person because they're oppressive. That's very different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's very different. Yeah, I'm not fighting to be my oppressor. I'm fighting to be a free human being.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm fighting for.
Right.
I'm not fighting to say, let me in so I can help you oppress other people. That's not what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of a hard sell because some of us have really internalized the victimhood, or I can't do anything because, these people, I'm not going to lie. When people start blaming other groups for us, I get the hell away from you because that tells me that you're not going to work. That's what it tells me. That's been my experience. I ain't going to lie. And if anybody grew up in the streets or knew about street culture, when people was out there pushing their products, which wasn't good for us, they didn't do excuses either. They didn't say, I'm selling this crack because the white man won't give me a job. It's like, we on business. You on your corner? Well, how much product you got? Well, they was really on their game. And I think myself, why don't that translate?
Right.
Right.
Well, I could be wrong. Get the comments in, y'all. Help me out.
So Queen says, Ashe, Rolanda, there is no success without some failure or trouble. Yeah. I had a sister circle within the temple of New African Unity. As we healed, we hurt, we hollered, and we had to dismiss some.
Right on.
It's part of a growing. You have to prune and let those who are not moving with the group drop on off. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I've been there.
Queen Alika says, we are good at identifying issues within our community, but I have a hard time finding resources to heal our community.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
Okay. So, and then also there's some resources too in the comment. Thank you, Queen. Teresa says, Dr. Westling's code, something easy to start with. Okay, so you're talking about, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, tell us about that code, though, if you can. Give us some of the points. Because I think it's great. Like, I love her work, too. I really do. Yeah. See, I agree with all of that. I also know some of us grew up in codes, and that's kind of why, I grew up in the code. I was, like, for instance, one of my mom's codes My mother was not really a big fan of Jesse Jackson. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
Bless her memory, my mama.
Okay.
But she would not talk about him in public because that was a code.
That's a code.
Especially around people who were not us.
Right. So it's kind of like you have a united front. I grew up with that code too.
But behind closed doors, we knew what time it was.
Right.
That was kind of like, you know what I'm saying? So some of us grew up with that code. All I'm saying is, and I'm going to make this a little bit more personal. Say, for instance, we know that R. Kelly thing was very triggering.
Yeah.
We know that Bill Cosby was very triggering. And so I don't want us to get confused through the lens of white women. Because they have a protection we never had since we've been in America.
Right.
Like, we've never owned our bodies as black women. Ooh. So what do we do when we have predators amongst our own people?
Right.
And they may be family or in the so-called loosely generic term of the we in the black community? How do we handle them? Do we bust them out before the world? Do we go and shoot them up? Or what do we do with them? And I need y'all suggestions, though, for real. Like, what do we do with predators? Because the black community, some black communities are riddled with predators, with pimps, with parasites. Like, you know, God, I mean, like, we got garbage. Killers. Yeah, spirit killers. Right. Spiritual vampires. You know, what do we do with them? And I know that's a hard thing because you're right, Alika. We'll point out some stuff, but what I don't see us doing is looking at solutions. Right. That's one of the reasons why when I grew up, and I always say this, I watched Our Voices because with Bev Smith, you know, they talked about the problem and they threw you some solutions. I come from that era. You know, I come from that era. Okay, so thank you, Dr. Nicole, for holding your space. Right on. We got to support that event. I mean, every month we should be having a calendar where you can go to get some healing work in. So I like that. Since there's some solution that I found works, the circle was accountability, self-accountability, work, spiritual honesty, truth and love. Right on, sis. Right on. I agree with all of that. I just know accountability scares the hell out of some people. Right. And then accountability is scary.
Also, before we miss this comment, because mine started jumping.
No worries.
Some solutions that I found while working the sister circle was accountability.
I just read that.
Oh, you did?
Oh, that's the one you read? Oh, I
thought you read Teresa's. Okay.
No, I just read that comment. She said honesty, truth, and love. And then Teresa said, that's the code. So I say, that's okay, y'all. I'm trying to stay up. But also keep on, because like you're absolutely right. A lot of our fights to be our oppressor. You ain't never lied, sis. Right. You ain't never lied. I got it. However, I mean, I just noticed that I feel like, see, the other thing with black people, some of us, when you feel like you've been starved to death, you'll take the imagery from anywhere. And that's kind of scary. You know, we're so in love with image. That's why I think people ran to protect R. Kelly. You know, 1 minute we'll be so concerned with our image, like we don't want to tear a brother down. But that's an ideal of not a good brother. Mm-hmm. Right. And it's okay to say that's not a good brother. And protect yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Protect our babies.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay to see men hold him. And like, so today at Forum, we're talking with some brothers. It's a conversation piece. I'm trying to start with black men. Because I want to know what they think about some of the stuff. Because we know we have good brothers in our community. But sometimes they don't always get the mic. Usually the person who get the mic, they should be shady.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because people, you know, that's kind of part of the street game. But I want to hear from black men who have families, who take care of their families, who are loving husbands and brothers and, you know, sons. And I want to hear what they think.
Right.
How do you survive the madness? How do you work through the imagery of the shiftless Negro, you know, that we talk about in our own community, not with white people. I'm talking about what we talk about. How do you survive through that as a black man, to be righteous, to be good, to be a loving husband? How do you do that?
Right. That's going to be a beautiful conversation.
That is going to be a beautiful conversation. I can't wait to tune in. Did we read the simple codes from Dr. Wesley?
You know what? No. I know. Hold on, let me stop real quick. Teresa says, stop name calling one another. Stop cursing at one another. Oh, she got a whole bunch of them.
Stop squabbing with one another. Right. Stop gossiping about one another. Stop snitching on one another.
Stop right there on the snitch word. So let me say this about the snitch word. I don't need this mic. So the only thing about, I don't need the mic. The only thing about the snitching word is I was always taught that snitching only occurs between the two people who did stuff together. So if me and her stole and then I snitched on her, that's snitching. But if somebody came on your block and killed your friend, you should tell the truth.
Right.
So we got to be careful with these words because I believe in telling the truth on people. Snitching only occurs to people when they've done some dirt together or some things together. Gotta be careful with wordplay. I get what you're saying, but that's gotta die in our community. That stop snitching, that's gotta die. We need to tell the truth so we can have justice. That's one of the reasons why in our community we don't feel like we even give each other justice. So I don't know about that stop snitching because I think that's we got people who kill people's children in the street and everybody was out there but nobody says nothing. That sounds like a community that don't have no goddamn accountability and don't care about the people who live in the community.
Right.
But so maybe you might want to remix that. Stop. I agree with the gossiping. Stop being
discourteous and disrespectful towards one another.
Right on, sis.
Right on. Stop robbing from one another.
Right.
Stop stealing from one another. Stop fighting one another.
Right.
Stop killing one another.
Right on.
Stop using and selling drugs to one another.
Right on.
Stop throwing trash and dirt on the streets and in places where black people live, work, and learn.
You better tell it.
Right.
You better tell it. Let me ask you this. I agree with all 12 of those. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That sounds like something we need to be putting together for a black agenda amongst black people first. So we do need a black agenda for people who running for office or whatever. Like what you gonna do for us? So that's a whole nother story. But let me say this. I also think if somebody break those codes, what do we do? Because that's the easy part.
That's the accountability piece.
That's the easy part is like these are the codes. You know, at your job when you get hired and they said these are the things that we don't do here. But then when you do them, you get a write up, and then the second time you get fired.
Yeah, first time you get a warning, huh?
Well, some people don't do more. The warning and the write up come together these days.
Right.
They tell you and they write it up.
The warning comes when you get hired and was given that employee. That was your warning.
Okay.
That's a good way because we told you.
Yeah, we told you.
Right on, sis.
Yeah.
Right on. So I agree with you, sis. But the question I like to ask for you, because I love when you put it in here. What do we do when people break that in the black community? What do we do?
That was your warning.
Yep. What do we do? And while she gonna respond to that, hopefully, what did Dr. Clavo say? I see hers in there.
Okay, so she said, I think we really need to begin to expose them. We must begin to protect our young women. Sometimes that protection comes with risk for us as individuals, but we can't consider ourselves protectors of black women if we're not willing to risk our comfort zone. All right.
Oh, wait a minute.
Okay.
So now you hit on something like these 4 girls in Birmingham that was strip searched.
Right.
You know,
that
didn't make the news because a white person didn't do something to him like kill him or the police or whatever. And I'm sorry to say that I'm not picking on nobody in particular, but I just see black people make white people so important.
Yeah.
But when stuff happens to us with each other, you know, nobody says nothing. It's like, you know, you a nigga, we do that to each other. And I'm sorry for saying it like that. I'm really trying to work on my cousin. But
right, but these 12 she said I'm not. These 12-year-old little girls were just laughing. They was just being silly. They was just laughing, and they had to strip search 3 of them down to their underwear.
Why?
And the one that didn't get strip searched down to her underwear is because she just flat out refused. So they went on and suspended her.
And that was in school.
This was in school.
This was in Birmingham in school. Yeah,
Wow.
It's crazy. I think Queen Faye Kennedy shared it. That was just crazy.
But you see these stories all the time, even in Sacramento City Schools or in Elk Grove or wherever. You see how black kids get treated.
I know.
But I got to say this. I think sometimes people feel like they can do that because they see how we treat each other. You know, it's kind of like going in somebody's dirty ass house, and then you just start throwing shit on the ground because they threw it on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I'm liking the black people. People see us not treating each other like we valuable. They feel like, why do I have to value you? Yeah. But I agree that if we put those 12 things into place that the sister spoke of, what do we do when somebody break it? And this is where the room get empty. I'm talking about in terms of like activity and we marching. Yeah. But if we start marching for the real stuff, it'll be empty out there.
Right.
It'll be empty because the truth of the matter is people don't value us like that.
We don't value, girl, don't get me started. I was going to say we don't really value ourselves like that.
That's
and
my
I'm
point.
not and I'm not making a
general. I get what you're saying.
I know I'm not making a generalization, but when this thing came out with R. Kelly, that's what really made me really start making assessments about value. So yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. So Tina McClain says, well, you can't save everybody.
Hello.
Some people are just not right. We need to hold our own folks who commit horrible crimes against their own accountable.
Wow.
Okay, and so Dr. Clavo says black men need to join the space. I have met with a few men that didn't understand that pound me too is real until they had someone they knew and trusted experience the inappropriate behavior and unwarranted behavior.
Hold that thought.
Ooh.
Now, Dr. Clavo, you have to come down here and join us one of these Sundays. But we try to have guest people come on here,
Yes.
you know, because, yeah. But I'm going to say this. I have a theory that culture, that Me Too, that what Me Too is exposing, because we know Me Too comes from, you can tell a black woman named it, because we'll talk right now, and I'm like, girl, Me Too!
Me too,
Because we
right.
talk like that as a people.
Yeah.
But in the black community and in some black cultures, that's called game. That's called culture in terms of how you holler at somebody, how you let somebody know you think they're attractive. That also goes back to us not being valued as black women. So it's okay for me to slap you on your ass and, you know, say some stuff inappropriately, because I think that you don't have no standards. You're a black woman. You're a black girl. You belong to me anyway.
Right.
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think when we look at that whole piece around, you know, Me Too and that whole thing around sexual harassment and inappropriateness in the black community, you know, some people do a lot of shit that's inappropriate and we laugh it off because we didn't mean nothing by it. Well, you know how he is. He do that to everybody.
Right.
I mean, come on. We've heard people say that. I've heard men say, "Hey, that's what men do." You know, we know we men. You know what I mean?
Or
Now
that's
you're
what
trying to
they
take away
like.
my manhood.
Or that's what women like.
I'm just saying. So I'm just saying that to say, I think we got to have a real discussion about that in the black culture and what we know as black culture. We know that that's not right. But, you know, a lot of people be thinking, you know, like, he ain't mean nothing by it.
Right. You heard it. That's right. That's right.
I know. That's why I started laughing.
Right.
It's not really funny though.
The John. You
Let
know
me-
the John.
yeah.
I said the right already.
Okay. Also, I wish the younger generation would respect the elders and so on. Okay. And so then Queen Teresa goes on to say, I would add a 13th code to Dr. Wesley's code. Stop being untruthful to one another. Then the accountability is built into the code.
Keep going, y'all.
Yes. Yeah, so I get that. Would you add another? What's a code that you absolutely live by?
I like all the codes.
Yeah, I like all of them.
I like all of the
Those are-
codes.
Yeah.
I like
Sorry,
all the
y'all.
codes too.
Yeah.
I like all, let me say something about that. So I think there's a difference between old people and elders. I gotta say this. Because I met some old people who don't know nothing, who ain't contribute nothing. All they were takers in life. The elders that I know were kicking down doors, who were being accountable. And then we had old people now who didn't do any of that. And I think there's a difference between the two. That's one. Second thing is this weekend, my sister's her birthday, so we partied the whole weekend every night. Anybody know me? I don't like going out late at night, but I went 3 times. I'm not going tonight. But anyway, because she's 52, she's 51, so it's like, you know. However, when I was in the club, you know, one club in particular, it was beautiful, live band, all that. But I noticed when they were playing the music in the club, every song was about dick, pussy, ass, but it was like, God, like so explicit. I was like, damn. Like, y'all don't have no Frankie Beverly and Mays, y'all. Because I remember when I was growing up and we had Bobby Brown and they had their little songs or whatever. When there were older people in the house, we always slid in the Temptations and stuff from the 60s mainly, because this was in the 80s. Yeah. So we always tried to make sure when there were elders in our environment partying with us at the birthday, we always played music that they could listen to too, which is how we learned what they liked and they got to hear what we liked. But we always considered like, hey, this is my elder, so I don't want to be listening to 2 Live Crew in front of them. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
And we didn't pay I wasn't into gangster rap at all. No disrespect to anybody who was. That just wasn't my thing. Wasn't my reality. But we didn't even play that kind of stuff.
Right.
Because we were with our elders. You know what I mean? So, and I also think young people only give us what we've taught them. And that's a hard sell for some people. Because somebody got to take responsibility for the generation that we see, or at least some of these. Because some young people are some people did a good job in raising their kids. That they got to be out here with the people who didn't. That's just the way it is. But it's kind of like we got to be very honest that, you know, somebody created them that way. Right. And it wasn't me.
Right.
And we just got to say, don't do that. We just got to be able to say.
You got to have courage.
Yeah,
to
you
say
gotta
and
have.
say it in a way where it feels like I'm saying this because I love you, and because I feel like a lot of young people aren't connected to people like us. Which is why they look at you like, who the hell is you?
Right,
Looking like
right.
my mama who didn't really do her job because she ain't here kicking it with me. I'm dead, sis. I had girls say stuff to me, and it's like I can't even get mad because I just have to respect what they say to me.
Yeah.
I just got to respect it. I can't even get mad about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Wow.
I get what you're
I'm
saying
just
about
saying.
that respect piece. I remember I was, and y'all gonna think I'm crazy. I was devastated when I found out that my son uses the word nigga.
Ooh.
Girl. And so one of the sisters, queens in the community, said she heard him say it, and she said, because he was at a basketball game and he was talking to one of his teammates, and she happened to be walking by. And I hadn't got there yet. And so she came to me and told me, she said, I'm going to tell you now what I told your son. I said, did I just hear you say that? Because I know you wouldn't want your mother to know that you said that. And then she said, did I hear you say that? He said, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. But of course he did say it. And so she told me, she said, yeah, I called him on it. I said, he wasn't disrespectful to you, right? And she said, no. But I'm like, you use that word? That's what you think of yourself? It's devastating to know when you try to raise your child a certain way, and then you realize that
you're making other choices.
Right, and that's what my mom used to always say. Don't never say what you can't.
Your kid ain't gonna do.
Yeah, don't do that.
My mama used to say that.
You don't want to get caught up in that. Oh, I know, not my child. My child wouldn't do that.
That's like
right.
when I seen people vouching for folks' behavior because you claim you know the person, and you know, it's like you don't know what a motherfucker does. People who have been mass murderers had, you know, a regular life with a wife and some kids, and they was out murdering people on Thursdays and Wednesday nights, you know. Right, but I'm just saying, but we'd be quick to be like, I can speak for a person's character. You can't speak for nothing.
Right.
You can just say, this is what I seen in my eyes. I'm like that when young girls like, oh, I'll do that on young people like, you was fighting? Oh, girl, really? You're too beautiful to be fighting. Like, I use that in a way to get them to switch to a different side so I can have this conversation with them because I think they're brilliant. But, I mean, y'all, come on. My mom used to say, I try to raise my children right, but I don't know what they do when they ain't in my sight.
That's it.
That's
my mama used to say that. That's my mantra.
I know what I tried to pour in them. So what they do, you know. But my mama would also say, too, don't give up. You know, keep on, you know, sometimes children deviate, but they'll come back to the fold. Hopefully they won't be made to come back to the fold.
Right.
So again, family disputes. What do we do with that?
Right.
Well, I know in our own personal families, family meetings.
Yes.
So I wonder sometimes, do we need to have family meetings on the community level?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think we definitely do. But how would we do that, Dana? Like, say right now, this R. Kelly thing. Let's look at this art. Because the R. Kelly thing is big. I mean, people think it's dying down, but it's really not. It's all kind of stuff bubbling up.
It's triggered so much stuff.
There's a few things. First of all, how do we help the people get healed who experience that trauma and it's been a secret for them all this time? That's one. Second thing is, how do we pull people into accountability who may have did some of those inappropriate behaviors or who've been molesting people?
Yeah, and then also
or raping or whatever.
I think we need to add another layer too. How do we also speak to those young, impressionable hearts that actually sought out to be in that situation?
Help me out with that.
Yeah.
So, for example, I had a good friend, I'm not going to bust her out, but I had a good friend to say, we've been talking about this R. Kelly thing, and you guys know too, I really started thinking about my own self-worth and value and how I valued myself as a young girl. But, and she is such a good woman, but she made a comment that back when in high school, had he came up to her school, she might have went and got in the car with him. She may have definitely entertained his conversation. And so when I say that, we have to address those young hearts that, for whatever reason, would be entertained by R. Kelly.
Go ahead, I'm gonna let you say yours first, and then I'm gonna say.
But I was with that. I think it would be important to really understand the context. So. Because if I remember, because I watched the documentary, right? Of course, it was kind of, but then listening to the conversation of his wife right? And how she kind of got caught up. She got caught up because she saw R. Kelly. Then she learned, because of how she differentiated between the behaviors, then she learned who, quote unquote, Robert was. So are we going to, I don't know, and maybe you can change your view of this friend, if you will, because she said, yes, I probably would have entertained R. Kelly, because she wasn't entertaining R. Kelly, the predator, the sexual assault person, but the star. How do we work on us not getting stargazed? Because that's what pulled them in.
So I think R. Kelly's wife is not the same as the young ladies. Let me just start by saying that. I think when we're all dating people, you don't meet the crazy ass person that you're gonna know 10 years from now.
Right.
You're meeting the representative.
Right, and that's what she would have
but that's different. But she didn't meet him at school.
She met him. What I'm saying is that the part that she saw first was R. Kelly, and that's what he was presenting to other people, whether it was at the school or whatever. She was the one, to me, gave the biggest or the best description of how people got caught up.
But I think, and this is just my thing, I get what you're saying from the point of view you come from. From my point of view, that him and his wife, that's their business.
Right.
Hold on.
Yeah, I get that.
So take R. Kelly's wife, who's a grown-ass woman making her own decisions, and some young girl that's 17 and 18.
I was talking about
you can't put them in. Those women who was 37 and older, that ain't got nothing to do with me. Because that's a decision they making.
What you're saying, though, too.
Yeah, that's a decision they're making. That grown-ass woman, you 37, you whatever, you're married, that's different. It's kind of like when you marry somebody, all of us meet people or who dated people, and then we got in a relationship, and we realized they was crazy, and then you have to make the decision, like, am I going to roll with this fool or not? So that's a little different. I'm talking about young, impressionable girls, not your grown woman ass. I'm not talking about that. That's a whole different, that's that domestic violence. That's different.
Got it.
That's different.
Yes.
I think I'm saying that and being very clear on that, Camille, because I think sometimes we confuse the two and it's not the same.
Well, I wasn't looking at the ages. I'm talking about the representation.
But all of us have it. You have it. I have it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, people meet you, Camille, they meet you for real. They may be like, she crazy as hell. But they met Dr. Strong.
Right.
So all of us do it.
Right.
All of us. And I'm the same way. Like, oh my God, when I was Earthbound and Hill, they be like, dang, it was roll cuss. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of us do it. So that's just like, But it's different when there's young girls. That happens in church. Young girls go to church. You ever see a church and you see all these young girls in the church, and then you see the minister and be like, what the hell's going on here? And you're seeing them talking to him a little differently, and it's like, wait a minute, this is a grown-ass man. That's different than if I'm 26 or 30 or whatever, and I decided to let this man talk to me like that because maybe I'm getting something out of this. Maybe I'm getting the title of I'm gonna be your wife, or you let me lick your feet or some shit. I don't know. You know, but I think with young people, I think we gotta make sure, because that's called a development and we all make choices. That doesn't take away the violent part. I get all of that. I think the domestic violence thing is very different than people being predator on young girls. And I say that to say, I just lost my thought, but I say that to say, when people were talking about R. Kelly and those girls, they kept trying to make them women. They were not women. They were young girls.
I'm very
R. Kelly's wife is not a young girl. She's a grown-ass woman who made some choices supposedly in her right mind.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Even with the sister at the radio station, she made that decision in her mind.
Right.
As a grown woman who had a job and the whole nine. Maybe she thought she was going to be the next Miss R. Kelly. I don't know.
Right.
But I think when we're talking about young people, they're not supposed to be as developmentally. That's why they're these young girls, not grown-ass women.
Right.
And now I'm in a domestic situation. That's all I'm saying.
Like for example, and you guys know me well enough to know I'm not defending any R. Kelly behavior.
What you gonna say then? You gotta say a disclaimer. No, I'm just
But what I'm saying is, and I think because just me being a 14-year-old girl, like I said a couple weeks ago, initiating sex. Like, I think that we need to, I think we also too need to speak to those young, impressionable hearts. That's what I meant. Like, for example, the young girl who, remember, she was at the R. Kelly court case. She was a minor.
Right.
Going to the court case. And it's like, I wonder what was she thinking and feeling when she was deliberately missing school, going
the same thing she was thinking if she skipped the school and went to the mall.
You think so?
Yes, because young people think they're invincible. Like, you know what I mean?
So I feel like that we need to speak to we also need to address young, impressionable girls who entertain that behavior or accept that behavior from young men. I mean, not even young men, old men.
I just, and then we're gonna read some of these comments. I just think, Dana, is almost like we should address. But part of it is we do that every day in how we live. We don't have a special meeting and say, okay, young girls, gather around. We're gonna talk about young people do as we do. They don't do as we say. They seen us role modeling that behavior. They seen us say it's best to have a piece of man than no man at all. They see the way we back up people who are predators in our community, but because we like they swag or we're dick to pride, we won't roll with people.
Right.
That's what young girls see. We could talk all day long. You're the most important thing. And then they see you treating your own self like you ain't boo-boo. Right. And so it's connected on that level.
Okay.
I just say it's the way we live. That's what I'm saying. It's the way we live. Do we role model, or not even role model, because you can take a role model off and on, but you have to be conscious of how they see you interacting. Mm-hmm. That's like let your little son run around the house naked, but you make your little girl put on clothes. Mm-hmm. That's a message in itself.
Right.
Yes.
You're right.
That's a message in itself. Dr. Pliable got something on here, y'all.
Okay.
Can you read your print looks small?
It does look small. But wait a minute. Okay, y'all. So did we read to John? I wish to. Okay, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to Teresa.
No, we read that already.
Okay, Dr.
13. Yeah.
As a community, family, we have to.
The band is get ready.
As a community, family, we have to have unconditional love for our sisters and brothers. We will not always agree with one another's perspectives on particular topics. Walking in one's own truth is often difficult because it is not always aligned with others' truth. That's real talk.
Yeah.
Many of us adorn ourselves in battle gear, but are we ready for war?
Right.
That's what I'm talking about right there. Yeah. I agree with you. I think there's I think reasoning is good. I don't know about y'all, but my mother would say stuff and I'd be like, first I didn't want to hear it, and then she, you think back on it, whatever, and then it makes sense. Right. So I think reasoning is really good. But I also think it's okay to kind of, in preparing for war, you gotta have some knowledge.
Yeah.
You can't be out there going to war and you don't even know like the strategies. Or I watch a lot of, I'm sorry y'all, I do watch a lot of stuff from like the gladiator eras and I did something about like 300 and stuff around Roman and all, because they have more films about that. But there's always been a strategy. Even though we look at that number 45 and he may look like he don't know shit, because that's a part of the distraction.
Right.
When we do fake stuff, we don't look who's behind him and why he out here got us distracted on the wall. They looting the whole joint. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we're not taught to be warriors. Most of us are taught to be soldiers, but we're not taught to be warriors, because warriors have to think about what they do before you do things. A soldier just takes command. Right. Whatever I tell you to do, you do. And a lot of us are soldiers without a general. So now we take the stuff that we seen on the YouTube or, for real, like, in this song, it said this, that's a damn song, dude. Like, that's not, like with this government shutdown. You know what I mean? How did that really impact our communities? You know what I mean? Do we think about all the people that we know that work for the government who may not have no food right now? In the family, here we go back to family. In our family, do we have things that we talk about? How do we help these people who are facing the government who hasn't worked now for 30 some odd days, right? 35 days. Do we check on them? Do we even know? This is family, y'all.
Right.
Family is hard. Because I say black folks do the family fantasy. We do like, we family, we peoples, and then we don't know nothing about each other.
Yeah. Right. We don't really care.
And secretly, we kind of jealous of a person. We think they got something that I ain't got.
Right.
Some of us do that. Some of us have been checking on people, whatever. I don't want to leave those people out, because I know that those people exist who've been taking care of business. That's like that statement to be woke. I don't know what it's like to be woke, because I've been woke and working all of my damn life. So I don't do trends. You know what I mean? I kind of hate trends. Sometimes I feel like I hate a hashtag. That's why I think I'm not able to do a hashtag sometimes. Because the shit, there is a difference.
Yeah, there's a difference in adult women behavior and young girl behavior. Absolutely.
I agree. That's all I was trying to say.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, that women don't find themselves in things after they been with somebody. But hell, everybody got different personalities. We joke about it. We say people bipolar. That's a joke for black folks. But we know when we say that, we're seeing different people. Sometimes everybody's not bipolar. We say that as a joke, which is, that's just the way it is. But we're trying to say this person has two personalities.
Right.
Or sometimes 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So we'll say
this person has severe mood swings.
Right. So we'll say those really nice words,
Yeah.
but we know that really does mean something else. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I just wished as a young girl, me myself, as a 14-year-old girl, I just wish I valued myself more at a younger age.
What made you not feel valued? What made you not feel valued? I think that's the thing.
So I can't really put a pinpoint on it, really, because I come from a loving family, so to speak, right? I did see a lot of trauma. I grew up around a lot of trauma because I was, lived in Hunters Point. So I saw a lot of trauma. I saw a lot of things happen. But now that I'm a woman and I really am still always evolving and really learning my worth and my value, I wished as a 14-year-old girl that I thought higher of myself. So when I bring this up, and I don't know why I equated to R. Kelly, this whole situation, but it just really, it triggered that in me. And so I'm no way saying,
I get what you're saying.
Right. It's just like, I just think about, dang, I wonder is there other young girls feeling like how I was feeling when I was 14, because I wasn't where I needed to be coming from a good home.
I'm gonna ask you this, Dana, because so when people talk, I listen for things that can allow me to slide in to the consciousness. So you came from a loving home, even though you were surrounded by a lot of trauma and things going on. I get that. I think everybody in America.
Well, you live in the ghetto.
Yeah. So, and even if you don't live in the ghetto, that's what I'm saying. If you live in the middle America and your parents is the first black this and that, and you had to go be around white people who called you nigga all day, that's just as traumatic as a nigga calling you nigga in the hood. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right.
So what I'm saying is, what was it? This is when you have to do some thinking. You may not have the answer immediately, but what things did you see or feel that made you feel that made you have yearnings for things? Like some people smoke cigarettes. Some people have sex all the time. Some people eat food all the time. Some people, when you have a hunger that you can't quite feel, you know what I mean? That comes from somewhere. It's like somebody opens up a portal in you and you can't feel the portal.
Right.
So you keep trying to soothe it, or maybe if I do this, I'll feel good for 15 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever the hell. You know, you have to, and that's not easy. And I'm willing to bet you if you really did some like regression work or whatever they call it, and some other circles, you could almost pinpoint when you felt like that.
Yeah, when it happened.
You know what I mean? And so I know even for myself, when one of my childhood friends was murdered, I was a year younger than her. I remember that did something to me because the environment started changing. That was like in 1978. The environment started changing really fast. Like you could feel the tension in the air shift and change, and you didn't feel safe.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I can remember. That's why I say her name a lot of times. I'm writing Rochelle Graham. She was 9. I was 8. She was murdered. This person raped her, strangled her, set her body ablaze. Right. March 1st, 1979. I can remember the date. So in that moment, something shifted in my being. You see what I'm saying? So it didn't just come from, well, what makes them, we know, if we listen to young people and they say, you know, I don't know how to get there. Some of us can't even offer nothing up because it's like, damn, I ain't never thought about somebody telling me they couldn't do something.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Because we don't talk like that as a people. Yeah. We go to like, that's why I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not saying that there aren't groups or a group of people who fuck this up. I get that. But I will say this. I know that we are so powerful that we still have the ability to heal and deal with each other. Yeah. So if somebody say, this happened to me and it really screwed me up and I don't know how to get out that box.
Right.
Bam. Okay, y'all, now we got to work on the box.
Right.
Now we got to address that part. Because that's how powerful we are. That's why I think I can't do the other people, because it distracts from us going into that place to look at what happened to us.
Right.
Because then nobody want to look at that shit. I don't want to look at that shit happen to myself. I'm like, oh, I almost get scared when people start talking. I'm like, oh, why are you coming to me? I used to hate that. Like, don't come to me. Like, let me go get you a social worker or something. I was famous for that. I'm going to go find Miss so-and-so. Instead of like, no, I need to tell you that. Because, you know, then like maybe I ain't worked on something myself that I'm running from this person.
Right. That's it.
Does that make sense?
It makes
so.
girl,
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
It makes so much sense.
We gotta be willing. When we ask that question, we gotta be willing to hear that answer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and to really listen. Because I think some of us just want to know, girl, you were validated. Like I think some of us have such issues with sex, and that comes from things that have happened to us. Then we become grown women. We get in relationships, and we don't even feel free sexual enough to do shit. Right. You want the light to be on, or I don't want to be naked. And dudes be like, I just see your body. I don't give a fuck about your scratch marks and shit like that. I don't care about your fat and shit. But for us, we really be struggling with like our own body image.
Yeah.
They don't know where that comes from. They just trying to love on you and get what they can get. You know, I know that was a lot, y'all. I done talked about a lot in that moment, but I think that we gotta. That's a part of the healing, though.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have to be super all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's okay to say, hey, I'm afraid because of this and that. And us not to, I think sometimes in our culture, because of what happened to us in America, we almost make people show up like that. Like, you know, get your shit together. Show up, you know, like we'll make you go to warrior stance when you don't want to go to warrior stance.
Yep.
Shit, I don't want to go to warrior stance right now.
And then if we have to be in warrior stance amongst each other, that's really like, dang, it's overkill on the adrenal system.
Right.
Yeah. You guys, do you feel what's up with the power of setting intentions?
I think that's every day of your life.
Yeah.
You know, what's that 4 agreements? Be impeccable with your word. Always do your best. Don't make assumptions. Help me with that 4th one. This always happens to me.
It's a good one, but I don't know for sure.
Don't take anything personal.
That's
okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so that to me, all that's intention.
Yeah. Right. I know, Dr. Strong, you had a workshop yesterday, right?
Yes.
How was it, Queen? I'm sorry I didn't participate.
Oh, that's okay. You know, everything is always in divine order. It was wonderful. It was really great. We did. We had some really healing, and I don't use that word lightly, conversations, because we did meditation, then we did reflection work before we even got to the part of them actually creating the vision board. And so when we talk about intentions, we really look at what is it that how do you really want your life to be? And so a lot of times in doing that work, I personally will use myself in the example when it comes to relationships, right? Because when it comes to business, when it comes to my spiritual stuff and my way, you know, that's all concrete. But it's that relationship part that really stumps me a lot, and a lot of that comes from the way, you know, I was brought up, socialized, growing up in an environment that sexual assault and domestic violence was the premise of like almost every relationship, and then that being a part of my structuring when I was younger, you know, because I was 5 years old when I was first, if you will, sexually assaulted. So 5 years old. So then at 5 years old, that's when I also learned that I was not enough. And so, and then taking that and moving forward. So when I was 12 years old and my mother's boyfriend decided that her she wasn't enough, if you will, that he wanted to try mine as well. And then when I thought I was brave enough to present that, you know, I was put in a position where, oh, you trying to take my man, and then now you crazy. In which, so for me, giving that example around relationships, because there's a lot of work in there still, right? Because I'm still peeling off those layers of, I know what I want that to look like, but I know that I'm still carrying some of that energy. Right. Some of that energy that attracts those crazies. Those people, now I can recognize, you know, somebody who's going to be physically abusive, right? That when they physically abusive off the bat. But I've also learned in this journey too, that it's a whole bunch of emotional stuff that happens that gets to that physical abuse, and I hadn't caught on to that part. See, I know the physical behavior when somebody getting ready to try to punch me in the face or throw me up against the wall. I know what that looks like. But because I grew up in it, so you see people fighting, you know what that looks like, but you had no idea. And so use that example with the women to really work on, because we had a lot of people saying they wanted to work on their relationships. And it's like, what's your skew of relationships? And mine, for a long time, has been so distorted that was still, and right now I'm in a space where I'm just like by myself, because it's like, have I really released that energy? And so it was really wonderful to be able to work on that part, because, you know, like I said, doing the whole work and all this stuff was great, but then honing in on, we did a lot of conversation and work around honing in on that piece that is really important. What came up in the meditation, and a lot of it was around relationships and really getting to the point to where, okay, this is where I am. Yes, I'm leading this workshop. Yes, you know, we're having these great conversations, but this is what that looks like if you really want to get to where it is what you're really trying to manifest.
So what does it mean to set an intention?
So when you set that intention, you're saying, this is what I want my life to be. Specifically, if it is, I want to if you take building a house and make that right, you want to build a house and you set that intention, I want to build a house. And in that workshop, what we did is, I want to build a house, or I want to build a healthy relationship. Well, what is it? If we're talking to Camille, Dr. Strong, whichever one, you know, you want to choose to say at the moment, right? How do you want that to look? Well, I want a healthy relationship. I want to be able to communicate properly. I want to be able to feel safe. I want to be able to, as Rolanda mentioned earlier in the conversation, to be safe in those intimate moments between myself and the man who says he loves me and I say I love him, right? Being healthy in those and setting those intentions. And once you set those intentions, is really, what is it that you really want? How do you want your life to be? Now you move to the part of, what is it I need to do in order for all of that to be? What part of me do I have to let go in order for that to happen? Right? So if we're looking at relationships, one of the things that I'm learning to really embrace is that it's okay to let go of that 5-year-old who didn't know what happened to her, or that 12-year-old who tried to speak her truth. But then as she did that, then other things began to happen when I was 16, and all these things and all the stuff that happened in the military, and then owning some of that as well, right? Like Rolanda said, you know, we talk about the difference between being a young girl and being a woman and making those transitions. When all this devastating stuff happened to you and you made certain decisions based on that, I also had to work through forgiving that adult woman who wreaked havoc on her life because she was still standing in the space of this 5-year-old, this 12-year-old, this 16-year-old, and in essence thought I was doing something good and not realizing that I was destroying my life. Then when certain things come up, just really saying, you know what, you screwed that up. And so now it's okay for me to reach out and trying someone that I can trust and say, you know what, this is what I've done. How do I get past that? Because this is what I want right here. This is the life that I want right here. What part of that do I have to let go? So I have to be able to say, yo, bro, you do this type of work. Yeah, I do this over here, but you do this type of work. This is what I need. How do I release that part of Camille that is keeping me from having this right here?
So what I think I hear you saying is that when you do a vision board, you kind of vision where you want to go.
Yes.
And you make that, you put it on the board. But then the other part to that you probably don't do at the vision board, because that'd be hell of a lot of time, what you're talking about. So you set that before you. It's kind of like when you want to do something, you write it on the wall. I do that a lot. Like, I'm going to write this here, 'cause I'm going to do these 5 things this week. I may do 3 of the things on the board.
Right.
I try to do all 5. Sometimes I do all 5.
And that's okay. Yeah.
However, normally through the year, maybe you look back on that board, like, I did this, this, and this, but I'm still working on these.
Right.
So you're setting your intention, like, to
Yes.
put it out there and you work on it. But then I also hear you saying that even when you put things on that board and you want to do this, I want to buy a car, I want to do this, I want to do whatever, you also have to look at what could keep you from doing that, and then you do
Yes.
some work on that.
Yes.
Bam. Got
Absolutely.
it. Yeah, I think that's definitely awesome. That's definitely an awesome thing. Comments. I see you looking down. He uses my hair.
Okay.
My loud mouth.
So, Queen says, importance is addition to the vision of the house, taking a look at what part do I play
That's what she said.
in obtaining this house, because someone else is usually the builder, not us. I love it. I'm in tears. Yes.
So
Yes.
when you say somebody usually is the builder, expand on that for me. So I want to make sure I get that. Because I think I know what you mean, but I'm not exactly sure. I'm so sorry. But I don't know what she mean in terms of like the way they mold, in terms of what's happened to you, or
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
I think that's and let us know if that's not your. Not
That's
your
what I
tip,
thought
but
too,
That's,
but I wanted
that's
to
what
make
I thought
sure.
too, because that's the whole premise. Because if we, like I said, if we're looking at the relationship, the example that I just gave, there was someone else building that relationship house. It wasn't the person who's standing here right now, if you will. You know,
Right
that
on.
5-year-old, that 12-year-old, or that 20-year-old who was trying to get revenge for what happened to her before then.
So Pam Grier talked about that in her documentary. So Pam Grier in her Unsung Hollywood talked about when she was growing up. She had some things happen to her and all. And she said if you look at a lot of those movies that I loved watching growing up, I'm not trying to be funny. So I watched Foxy Brown, Friday Foster, Coffee, Sheba Baby, Dracula, Black Dracula, whatever it is. In those movies, and particularly the ones I talked about, the early ones, is that she was always getting revenge for something that's happened to her. And she said if you really look at those films, that was like her own way of trying to deal with when she was helpless.
Right. Yeah.
And she didn't get no justice, so a lot of that's super badass.
Right.
That was her, she used her sexuality, which was something she had to always fight with.
Yep.
That's another thing. To basically get revenge when people don't respect that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I know black women, we struggle in our sexuality. I'm not talking about sexual orientation.
Right.
This is not that conversation. I'm talking about when you're in love with your body and your butt and your boobs and all. I'm saying boobs. I know that's not the proper term. I'm sorry. I don't know my feelings. But sometimes we do a lot of covering because people make you feel ashamed that you built that way.
Right.
That's like, that's like seeing somebody with a really nice, behind, and she's always trying to cover it with a shirt, but your butt is too big to cover it with a shirt.
Right.
Like, it's your butt. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Or when other people say stuff like, and I know it's to protect, so I'm not, but it does something when we, one time we had a retreat, and then the young lady came to the front, and she had on a short and the shirts, some shorts and a shirt. This is our part of the house. The boys were coming over to eat, and an adult male said, I think she should change because we don't want the boys to feel so. I was like, no, teach them to control their goddamn self.
Right.
Teach them to control themselves. It's not my job because we don't make him put his shirt on when he gets hot and he takes his shirt off. We don't say, boy, put your shirt on. It's hot. Yeah, so I feel like a lot of that too is that part of why we have so many hang-ups as grown women. It's like being forced to wear a girdle or a slip, and it's like, damn, it's hot as shit outside, and I got the audacity to have a slip on under this damn skirt.
Girdle.
Right, and a girdle. Them damn girdles, because they give you high blood pressure.
They call it waist trainers now.
Yeah,
so
that shit is still a girdle. Yeah, it's still a girdle. It's still a girdle. It's a girdle that becomes a hurdle.
Right. Ooh.
Go ahead, somebody, they got comments in here.
Yes, so Queen says, we hire someone to build. We are usually the planner, but we don't plan. We draw it and wait for it to happen for the house to be built.
Okay.
Okay.
I did that? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, good. Because I was thought about that. You so right. You so right. But I just feel like even as we look at, even with the power of intention, I think that it's great. I love doing vision boards and storyboards. We go to the dream board or whatever. But I also know you got to do some work to get there.
Yeah.
It's like wishing for $1 million, but if you're in control of the way you spend your money, you'll be broke.
And still looking at that picture that say, I'm going to have $4 million.
Because you got the $4 million and you spent it.
Ooh, and
that's what I mean. That's the word that look on spending. Why do I spend a certain way?
Right.
How do we deal with our own mental health? I think I love that post that says, being black is dangerous, but it's lit.
I that's
it is. Ain't that true?
That is true.
You know what I mean? Because I love being black, but it is dangerous.
It is dangerous.
You know, but you have to think about things you don't want to think about.
Right.
No, I was just gonna say I couldn't imagine. I'm even with everything that comes along with being black. I'm so happy to be black.
I am too, but damn it, it's still we sitting here talking about how do we clean up our stuff as family. See, that's another thing with white people. White people, they get money, they move away from their broke ass relatives. See, we don't talk about that.
Right.
So when white people make money, you know, for the most part, some of them, they gonna move with the other rich white people, and they don't want that ghetto ass white trailer trash people to be coming up to Beverly Hills. Like, Keep Up Appearances. That's one of my favorite shows on PBS. This is a white lady from Britain, and she got a little bit of money, and her family's hella ghetto, and so she moved to the nice part. But somehow her people end up always where she is, and she's embarrassed by them because they're ghetto. Like, when you black, you don't get to do that.
Right.
You could try to, go do that, but your family will bust your butt out.
Yeah.
They be like, you still from the South Side. Don't get, they'll come out and, so we don't get the luxury of doing that. Because black don't rub off like that. You can't hide it. You can't whitewash it, even though that's a term I hear people say. I think that's kind of silly. Because I mean, if you speak proper English or whatever, it's like, girl, please. That's not whitewash. I mean, you're speaking whatever this English is properly.
Right.
You know what I mean? Hell. But I just feel like when you black, even though you try to escape it, you cannot escape it.
Cannot.
Yeah, it's just not possible.
Right.
I hate to say it, it's just not possible.
Right.
You wake up with that skin.
Yeah, you can't.
You wake up.
It don't. That's like the sister Basie was a cheerleader, and the white women told her they don't want her out there because she's distracting, because she's extremely beautifully dark, and I'm like, what? But that ain't the first time.
She's distracting.
Yeah, she's distracting because she was so chocolate. I'm like, girl, go on out there.
Go on out there
and get that. And she's really chocolate. But we see a lot of people do that. Yeah. I mean, even in black culture, you're rare to see. I just stuttered really long, but it's rare to see somebody pitch black in the black movie.
Yeah.
Or even dark brown or whatever. We see a lot of beiges and mixed people, but we don't see those beautifully melanated black original people because they still exist. And then you'll have some niggas say, no one's this black, we're all brown. No, I'm black.
I'm black.
Yeah, you can say that brown for somebody, get that, for somebody else downtown, but I'm black. All day, Jack. Don't get it twisted. That's from the 70s. The 70s, they hear how uncle talk like that. I had an uncle who always rhymed his words, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
They call it talking jive or something.
Yeah, but he always, Uncle Billy, bless his memory, his birthday is on the 31st of this month. He used to always say these sayings, and I loved it though. I just got Jack was one of those words from the 70s. Get back, Jack.
Get back, Jack.
Yeah.
Don't come back.
Yeah, that reminds me of my Uncle Ernest.
Yeah, everybody had a relative that did that, yo.
So you know what, I feel like we did a lot of discussion around personal relationships and emotional and mental health. Do you guys think that we do a good job taking care of our mental emotional health? What about you, Ro? You seem so grounded.
Girl, left a good job in the city, working for the man every night and day. And I never lost 1 minute of sleep, 'cause I was worried about the way that things might have been. Big wheels keep on turning. Proud Mary keep on burning. And we rolling,
yeah.
Rolling on the river. Girl, no, I don't do a good job. I do the best I can, but I sing a lot. Woo! No, I do the best I can. I'm learning from my ancestors. January is one of those months where I have a lot of my ancestors I love. Their birthdays this month. Like Uncle Stanley's birthday today. Happy birthday, Uncle Stanley. Happy heavenly birthday. He'd been 94. My Aunt Winnie's birthday was on the 21st. My Uncle Billy's birthday is on the 31st. We have a lot of when I just spoke of when I started doing a rap and Jack or whatever.
Right.
But I try to watch a lot of my ancestors and study their life so I can do a better job of doing self-care. I think sometimes we do this thing around self-care, but it's not attached to nothing. And so for me, I'm learning from my ancestors how to take care of myself. How do I love myself better? How do I not let people abuse me in the love? You know, when you let people, how do you let people go, even though you may miss the loving and the hugging and not being by yourself, and maybe your bed being a little empty with space? How do you say, but I love me more than I love you?
Yes.
That ain't easy, because those are like those real things that I've seen women in my line in particular struggle with. So they held on to people for the little bit of love they was able to get back from them, but it actually ended up taking them out of here.
Right.
I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
Sorry, nothing personal. But I think I love my ancestors, but I want to improve, and they would want me to improve.
Right.
Yes,
Absolutely. You know, I think about my mom. It's like I love my mom, but I'm not going out of here at 52, God willing, unless there's a different plan. But it's not going to be because I didn't take care of myself, and so now I'm breaking down.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
What about you, Dana? Do you take care of yourself?
I'm starting to take care of myself better than I have been. I'm starting to take care of myself mentally, emotionally. I think I did a lot of, maybe I would be feeling a certain type of way, and then I would kind of justify certain things that have happened or whatever. And now I don't do that. I just call a thing a thing. Peace, queen. I call a thing a thing. And I just really just try to live my best life, try to live my truth. I'm living my best life. Trying to be who I say I am. But it's a daily struggle. I'm not trying to act like I've arrived.
Right.
But it's certain things that I could tell that I'm getting better at. And I feel Ro when she says like her mom transitioned at 52. My mom had a massive aneurysm at 60. And she lived another 4 years after that, but it wasn't the way she wanted to live. And so I'm trying to really take care of myself because I've inherited a lot of her health problems that she had. And so, I'm trying to work on myself and trying to make sure, I don't want to be in a situation where it's toxic, and I don't want to cause any toxicity. Is that a way? Is that a word? Right, yeah.
If it's not, I don't.
Yeah, we make up words.
God can make up words. We can make up words.
We make up words. But yeah, I'm trying to work on myself emotionally and mentally and physically because it's all tied together. During the government shutdown, as you guys know, I've been off. And you would have thought like, oh, Dana, I know you probably did a whole bunch of stuff while you was on shutdown. Not really, y'all. I just really just kind of like was just taking care of me, and I got a lot of rest, which is not, I'm an early riser. Sometimes I go to bed late too, but I've learned the value in getting rest. Mm-hmm. And not and real rest, like rest without stressing and worrying about stuff. Because sometimes you could be laying down, but if you still stressing and worried about this and worried about that, that's not really real rest.
That's true. Right, that's true.
So I've been doing that, trying to drink a lot of water, and now if I could just get myself to the gym, we'd be really, what you say, rolling. So, but yeah, I'm just, I guess I'm growing, I could say.
Yeah. So before I ask Dr. Camille this question, I want to ask you, Dana, how have you dealt with letting things go?
Girl, why she do that to me?
No, because I think that's major. I think that's major. I'm just saying.
Y'all, I can say I'm working on it and I'm growing and I'm able. So I'm one of those type of people, or I used to be one of those type of people. Like I didn't like to break up. I would try to ride it. I was trying to be like that ride or die, right? But what I'm learning, and this is just not even just with relationships, but about things in general. But what I'm learning though, sometimes it's really good to let go. It's really good to choose you. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So choosing you sometimes means letting go of stuff. And so I'm learning. I'm not a master of it. Absolutely I'm not. Because I'm very much a creature of habit. And very much I think I drunk the Kool-Aid of
black solidarity. No,
Right.
not-
I've definitely drank that Kool-Aid. I've drank that Kool-Aid.
Sometimes that's a good flavor. Sometimes the flavor's good.
Mhm.
But then people do stuff and those, like, other stuff in there that's not a part of the original ingredient.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
sugar and
Like they
iodine
lace it.
and stuff. Yeah, they lace it with stuff. That lace it with, what kind of stuff they usually lace it with, Camille? Because I often think about that when you think about black movements and you look at, like, let's say if it was the Nation and the First Dispensation or, the Black Panthers or just black organization, Core SNCC, all of them. It's like they were moving along and then something happened. I know government informants say, I get all that. Like, it's your enemy. They supposed to do that kind of stuff.
Right.
But what happens with us when things fall apart? And we don't want to look at, it's not just agents came in. That's not just
Right.
it. There has to be something with us where we be like, 1 minute the community supporting y'all and the next minute they don't want to see y'all face again.
Right. I think one of the things too, I feel you, bro. I think one of the things too, when we look at organizations or we look at situations where we're having to make choices and stuff like that, is to definitely don't play a victim. Don't play a victim and look self-assess. Self-assessing while letting go, I think, is a great thing because it leads way for growth instead of just letting go and just saying what these people did or what these informants did. These agents, this is why this didn't happen or whatever.
Right on.
Nah, self-reflect. Self-reflect is the best way to go because it does ensure, I think everything happens for a reason. I think we get something out of everything. And I
agree.
think
Everything's divine order.
Right,
Every day.
right. And I think our growth is dependent upon our ability to really focus on self and self-assess. That's
Right
my
on.
humble opinion.
So-
I'm learning.
So dear sister says, I think we hide because a lot of our lives are a secret in order to be accepted. I agree. I definitely agree with that.
Girl,
I
our
totally agree
fans
with
back.
that. We do. She also says the whole ancestry awareness has taken off in us and me personally to look at who I am and have a focus now. Right on. I do look at that. We talked about that earlier. Talking about the DNA test, for real though. I learned so much on my mama. My dad line's a little shocking, but that always comes up. I had a family, what they call it, a family sculpture, but it's kind of like when they look at your line, like it's just a reading that you get done. And the guy was like, your mom's side is the bomb, your dad's side, the women got issues. And so first I was like, I don't want to know about them. Because I'm not saying like that, but I don't really know them like that.
Yeah.
But then as I started doing the history, exactly what he said was true. He said that's why you really do the work you do with women. Because it's that part of your line. He broke it down so brilliantly. But at first I didn't want to hear that. But I got it. I got
That's
it.
good though.
We got some more comments in here. I'm sorry. Doris, we're at
Doris Davis.
Yeah.
Fahiza Aziz. And stay away from the toxic folks. They will affect your health in negative ways. You ain't never lied.
Yes.
Now we at Doris Davis.
Okay. So Doris says, I think there is still a huge stigma associated with mental health, rooted in embarrassment, scared of what others think. I have dealt with depression and thought it was normal. Hold on, it jumped up.
My mother-in-law.
Yep. You see it?
You got it? Okay, my mother-in-law said to me, you can't take care of anyone else completely without taking care of yourself first. It took me many years to understand it completely. Plus, there was a lot of guilt for myself surrounding worth, self-focus, thinking I was letting my family down. I am working on, now I am working on me mentally, physically, and spiritually. Also, as a black woman, we were told if we hold everything together, we are strong. Ooh, girl, I'm so sick of it. Sometimes we have to own needing help.
You be like, help me. Help me. I'm dying down here. That be your soul talking. Look, but I will say this. She made a good point. I think those are the things we tell ourselves. Because if you I always felt like if you fall, who gonna pick you up?
That part.
No, for real. You be like,
seriously.
My women be like, and then like 5 minutes becoming a whole. But us, people be like, blam up on the floor. So David Banner, I watched the interview with David Banner on VTV, and he said that he used to drink a lot, and he used to smoke all, but he really drank a lot. And he said, like, he really realized he was an alcoholic. He was, but he said, more importantly though, he realized that he was depressed, but he didn't think he was depressed.
Right. Yeah.
Because in our community, we don't be depressed. It's like, oh, you just ain't doing the right thing. Right. Or you ain't, trying again. Or what you got prime for? I mean, there's people on hell with ice water. Like, I don't ever heard that going on.
Right, I did.
And I always want to know, the hell really, I don't know. I've never been to hell, so I don't know if they need ice water or not. Or if the people in China need rice or something. Like, I used to hear some stuff.
Yeah. Yes,
people don't have food in China. But I think that depression is, I think these are the things we do to psych ourselves out to survive the event of being in enslavement. Because, there were no excuses. We didn't get a chance to do that. Right. But I also think it's okay when somebody says that they are really having some mental health issues. It may be scary, but we should try to speak to them, or at least help them make sure that they make the appointment, or get some sisters together in love, not in judgment, to hear the sister out. Because most times it's like we're not even being heard. Right. So we start to feel some kind of way that, like it's just me, even though, I always say one of the things that I always kind of envied about white women, is probably the only things I really envy about women, I'm not gonna front, that they can be weak and people give a shit. Yeah. That would be the only thing. Yeah. But I'm like, oh my God. Like, I almost get indignant. Like, sit down. Like, like.
Over the smallest
like, oh my God. And my feelings was hurt because the person said no, that they were closed. What? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And then they be like, it's okay. They open tomorrow. But I'll be like, they was closed. What you crying for? Like, I almost get enraged. but the thing is that the fact that they can be vulnerable enough to say that as the truth, and then I would feel some kind of way. Right. And I told so
there has to be a lot of freedom in that.
Girl, look, I'm telling you, a white person.
To just be like, I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed out. Yeah. Without you saying, girl, get it together.
Right, because that's what's going to be said.
Because that's what's going to be said.
And I think that's because we don't really see you as a human being. Right. You're like a cow or a horse. We don't stop to ask the horse, is your back okay? I did just ride it for like 200 miles. No, it's a horse. That's what it does. That's why it's called horsepower. Right. You see what I'm saying? I think that we are in that category for some people and with each other. That's why, like, when we talk about black on black crime, people would debate me down on black crime. It's like, it exists. That's when black people commit crimes against other black people. It ain't I'm not worried about what white people think about us. They already know we got issues. Right. Give me a break. So, I mean, but I feel like, you can't even say that somebody black, another black person killed my black child or whatever without people saying, don't say it like that. Like, you and your feelings. It is what it is, dude. Quit trying to censor me. Right. That's why we so sick now. Because we can't tell the truth. Right. Because we worried about what other groups, who are these days? I like to meet them. They're every damn where in the black community. Yeah. Well, they, say their name. Have some courage. Yeah. Don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
We got more things up here, y'all. I'm sorry.
No. Prayer and waiting used to be the only solution because of church. But I'm so thankful for DNA tests. We were guided by the ancestors to help heal our bloodlines. And the Queen says, say that. A special cousin, you know who you are, cuz. Okay. Doris Davis says, she said the word freedom. That was perfect. It's also liberating.
Right on.
Yeah. Right on. To just be like, just if I just call Ro and be like, Ro, how you say, sis, how you doing? I'm tired as hell. Mm-hmm. And just to let that just be. You tired? Because you know you still got to work.
That's so true.
Right.
But yeah.
I think that's why black people tend to shout.
Yeah.
Be honest. I think that's why we tend to shout.
And dance hard.
Yeah, we don't dance. We boogie. Hard. For real, we dance it down. I ain't gonna front. That's one of the reasons why I like when I get a chance to go to church. I do like watching black folks do their release. I'm just gonna be honest. You just gotta grab the babies and stuff.
Right.
And the heads in it just moved out.
No, but there is something in that. I like to watch us in church. I like to watch us when we dance. I like going to spiritual ceremonies when people are, doing their traditional and sacred dances. There's something very beautiful about that. As a kid, I used to love watching, you be like looking, you don't be up dancing when the old people be, James Brown come on and dun 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 dun, and people start, you know, you like, yeah, it's about to get juicy. I used to like watching people dance.
The Big Payback.
Oh,
I don't care at the
gotta get back
at the African Marketplace, which is every first and third Saturday, 2251
right on. Go ahead, I love that commercial.
When that come on, the Big Payback, I don't care vendors. I don't care who. Everybody freeze and stop, and they just start. They start feeling it. They start feeling it. Yeah. I like to see people feel that.
Me too.
And I like them to be free enough to just do. It don't matter if you on beat or just whatever. Just I like to see people feel that.
I would say that sometimes black folks, some of us can make people feel bad when you're not on beat. Yeah.
Well, y'all don't want to watch me dance.
No, wait. I did karaoke. I sounded so horrible.
You was jamming? Did you see her doing
I was
Natural
horrible.
Woman?
But I was a natural woman. I was feeling myself, but I was cracking and everything. I was just like, I was trying to hit them notes like I was with Houston, but it wasn't working. But I didn't care.
But you felt that
That's
song.
the whole point,
Bro, you felt that song.
But we be like, you know, my own beat. You know what I mean?
I like how you and your sisters have fun.
Oh yeah, we're all very different. I'm serious.
But
y'all
come party together and have fun.
The part that y'all missed, that I didn't miss it. I mean, y'all did. So you know, Dottie was feeling herself. She was drinking. She was feeling really good. You know, that's how much it is. And then my sister does this thing where she starts crying. That means that she's really officially lit. And so we get in the car. It always happens in the car. If we're at home, she'll be sitting in the kitchen floor crying. But her cry is more like, you know, I love y'all. We all we got. We all we got. You know, she's yes. So Khadijah be laughing. I'll be in the back laughing. You can hear me in the back seat. I'm laughing my head off. But Khadijah's like, get the camera out. Get the camera out. You know, but my sister's hilarious. But it's like that's her release time. Yeah. She'll be like, I love y'all. And, you know, and then she said, but now my father asked her, she said, but we don't even have parents anymore. And then Khadijah said, but we got each other. Like, it's so hilarious, y'all. But I feel like that's my sister. Like, we know that she really in that space where she just gonna be honest. Like, you know, because most of the time she's really pretty happy. But she's the person who keeps our family. She's the glue. She's the person that could come into a situation and not judge people and be like, but what you need, or I made you. Like, we were moving and she went and bought us all dinner. Like, I set up dinner for y'all. And she didn't have to do that. I mean, I had to cook some. But it's just, that's her role in the family. Yes. Her job is to make sure we're taken care of. You know, so when she, you know, it's her birthday. So my sister's hilarious. I laugh so hard on this video. You hear me in the backseat, I am crying in the back of it. I'm laughing so hard. Because she's like, I love everybody. Our parents that we ain't got parents. And I was like, oh my God. It was so funny. I couldn't stop laughing. Then Khadijah gonna say, we're not orphans. Because she said, orphans have no one. And we all busted out laughing. Because, you know, it's the way she said it. For black folks. So we do have our different ways. And of course, when my sister go out, you know, she never meets a stranger. Anybody be hanging with us. But that's her demeanor. That's really how we are. We all have different ways of being, because even though we all come from the same house, we're from the same families, and we experience some of the same things in terms of life, our paths were all very different. Right. I'm a bit of a hippie. I'm a person who's more likely to try other stuff, like, you know, in terms of like what they doing over here, whatever. You know, my one sister's more traditional. You know what I mean? She go to church every Sunday morning. You want her to pray for you. That's feel like that. You know, because she also tries. I love when she say stuff like, they better be glad I'm a Christian. I always fall out of that, because I feel like y'all should be glad too, because anybody that can be super good can be bad on your ass. Don't get it twisted. So you want them to remember they walk. Yeah. You like, thank God for the walk. Because it could look very different. You know what I'm saying? And so, and then my baby sister, she more like your protector, because she be ready to ride on you. But my sister, what? So, you know, I look at my sister, I love it. I think it's hilarious. I think we're all have our uniqueness. Yeah. But it's funny. It's funny.
But you guys are too, kind of similar too. And it's a trip being around, like, for example, Khadijah. One time it was Khadijah and was in the space, and I looked at my sister Shakiri. I was like, look at bro. Yeah. Because it's like you could tell that you guys are family.
Girl.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when you ride, so how do you deal with your mental health? I mean, Dr. Strong.
Well, you know,
I know we all like.
You know what? Usually, walking, and then I have to find a place to go dance.
Okay.
Right on.
dance is what, and I'm pretty sure that has a lot to do with the fact that I grew up in the church. And so, but the dancing part, and I can pull in all pieces of our culture, and I don't need nobody else.
She sure don't, honey. I have seen her.
Oh yeah, I
on
seen
the
you in
dance
action
floor,
too,
like,
child.
And you know, if you got problems, when I'm there, if you got problems with what's going on, I suggest that you go and go somewhere else. Because you know that's I mean,
I'm here to get my boogie on.
Yes,
Get up out of here.
Get my release.
Yes, and that because in this walk, in this journey, a couple of I hear you guys talk about your relationships with your mother and your family, and mine has been like the total opposite. And I spend so much time saying that I'm not going to be like my mom. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. And then very grateful with learning the importance of the DNA piece. Because what that did, that allowed me to kind of really circumvent some behaviors that were the same but looked different.
Wow.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
That makes sense.
So I said, wow.
That makes sense.
Right, because then I found myself like creating some of the stuff that I said that I wasn't, going to do. Like, just in today's conversation, it's like you hear stuff in different parts, right? So like I knew Rolanda's mother age when she transitioned, and then now hearing your mother's age when she transitioned, and I'm thinking to myself, damn, because my mother was, I think, between 54 and 56 years old when she transitioned. And then having, sitting here processing that, because it's like, shit, that, for me, that relationship was, unfortunately, so hard and so toxic that I know the day my mother transitioned, October the 1st, 2004. Like, I know that date, right? But, like, really knowing how old she was, I still have to work the numbers because we were so torn apart.
So you left home early?
Yes. And unfortunately, because of the way I was conditioned, I literally ran from a hella mess to just a bigger hella mess that I kind of, in essence, chose, if you will.
You only can choose things you know.
No, right.
Unless you have courage to go places you don't know. But even that, still know something about it a little bit.
Right.
I get you.
And so just now, really, because there's so many things that, working through, trying to really be okay with that part of my life, and being okay with how that all played out, and really starting to really embrace the similarities, even though the story was different.
Right on.
Having somebody to connect with, losing, moving past the idea that for so long I concentrated on the fact that, she had such a beautiful relationship with her mother, right? And I would get in a dark place because I was like, shit, I don't even have nothing to talk about with that because I didn't have that. But then just really embracing the fact that even though those relationships were different, there were similarities, because my mother probably 9 times out of 10 transitioned at that early age because of some of the shit that she didn't know how to release. She didn't let go. She didn't sometimes own some of the choices, right, in that.
Sometimes we could hold on to stuff that could eat us alive.
Yeah. And that's what I mean by recreating that same, and I use stuff very lightly. There's another word floating up in there. Stuff. Recreating those same freaking dynamics a different way, because you're concentrating on, well, I'm not going to have my life like that. I'm not going to have that's not going to happen with my kids, and and now dealing with the fact that, because you didn't address that part of you that was her. Because you didn't address that part of you that was her, you kind of created the same shit, just in a different, cleaner way.
Yeah.
It's all and so now just learning to so now I appreciate. Now I jump on when people call me and say, "Hey, we're going so and so and so," and I'm like, "I'm there." Are we dancing? We gonna get to dance?
Right on.
We gonna get to dance because that's my because I don't get a chance to really do that in my everyday life. Mm-hmm. And then I have to step back and say, you know what? Shit, you are Diane. You just happen to be a military person. You just happen to force your way through your education and then accepting even why I even did that. Like, did I really want to do all of that? No, I was trying to prove something to a person who was already gone.
But also, that's a part of your journey.
Exactly.
Strong.
Yeah.
I hate to say it like that, but I also think, we come through people because we have gifts to bring. And real great things come through turmoil. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's really moved by everything was perfect story. We'd be like, turn the channel. But when you see that people come through things, I'm always amazed when I meet someone and they just look perfect, whatever that looks like. And then you get to know them and be like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, I would have never guessed that. That don't mean you have to walk around with your swords and stuff all over and your bags all over the place. No. But there is something about, we come through lines because there's work to be done. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
We come through lines because you had to come through your mom and your dad. Like, they were supposed to meet so you could come through here. You couldn't have got here no other way. That's just the honest God truth. Yeah. And so my brother did a memorial for my dad. And so my dad had lots of struggles. He had lots of struggles. And I'm so grateful even for his struggles. And so when my brother did this memorial, because we all had things with my dad, even though my relationship had gotten better with my dad over time, we still had our little struggles here and there. But for the most part, he was a pretty good dude, in the last 15 years of his life, if you will. Right. And my brother did this memorial to my dad. And I'm thinking to myself, how is he going to do this memorial? First of all, it was so therapeutic for him. That's number one. I won't lie with it. But he also talked about the times in which my dad was in. So he was born during the World War II. He was born during World War II. And he talked about all the things that were happening to black folks. And he used this timeline. And then he pulled out all of these really good things my dad did, like moving us to California. Yeah. That changed our whole life, all of us. And even though his attention may have been a little different, it was the good was greater than whatever little other stuff he had going on. Right. Okay. My brother kept it so positive, but what he was able to do was to look at my dad's life, put it into content in terms of time, and how decisions he made impacted the generations that he's probably never going to see. Right. Yeah. And some he did get to see. Right. And sometimes you have to look at, like, I know all of us have pieces of him. My dad was a people person. That's me. Right. I'm a talker. My dad can talk to anybody. He can make you smile. I mean, even if you're mean, he still can make you smile. Right. That's his demeanor. My mother was more like a quiet person. Like, she didn't talk to. She was like more to her family, but she would help anybody too. So so I'm just saying, even though people have some real crazy stuff going on with them, they still have these gifts that most of us get to have, but we get to enhance it in a different way. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's why I don't drink, I don't smoke, because my dad did those things. I mean, he was a drug addict at one point in his life. So, but even in his addiction, he still had that way of, I remember Sister J. Vaughn was talking about her mom when she was in addiction. And she said, but my mother was still nice. Even though she was a drug addict. You know what I'm saying? And so my dad had that same kind of thing. So I'm always reminded that sometimes bad things happen to good people, and it's the way that they react with the tools that they have. And I'm so grateful that I got exposed to other tools, because they lifted me up enough or stood me up enough where I can see and go for myself. Right. And that ain't easy to do. No, it ain't easy. And I think that's the healing part. Family disputes. How do we deal with that? Do we get mad? Like, I'm still mad at his ass because in 1983, and he moved us all away from my family. But then when you look back at like what he moved us from, man, I wouldn't be able to know and do all the stuff I've been able to do. Right. I'm so grateful. I don't care if he did that because he was really doing some other stuff. Right. I'm glad he got us out here. Right. Because my reality could have been, everything
happens for a reason.
You got a good comment in here. You see it?
Okay. You want me to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all.
So,
Doris.
oh, okay, we're not on yes, church has allowed.
Yeah.
No, we did that already.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have 6 sisters. We are all different, but whenever we come together, we sound like a bunch of cackling hens.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are laughing at nothing, but it brings us together. I love the fact that you ladies are taking this time to focus and pinpoint so many things ladies really need to hear. Oh, thank you.
Yay.
You guys are taking me through tons of emotion. I have laughed, thought hard, reminisced, almost cried. Awesome, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's what we do. See, back in, y'all remember that show 227?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
I loved how they would sit on the porch. Pearl and that actress lived to be almost 100. I can't remember her name, but she lived to almost be 100. The Pearl that would be in the window, the old lady.
Yeah.
She was crying Wanda on Good Times. I mean, she's been on so many things. But anyway, I'm sorry.
No. No.
So her, but I'm saying, so women used to do that. We used to sit together on that porch and get it in, and that was our therapy session back in the day.
Yeah, I think that's how they exhale. Sister Amina, Assalamu alaikum, says, she says, nice hanging out with my sisters today. Be blessed. Thank you.
Thank you,
be
sister.
blessed as well. Queen also says, I only look to the day that religion, not culture, will no longer separate us. Yes.
Right on.
A big part of our discrepancies nationwide is caused by religion. Our oppressors are effective in doing this to us. Nevertheless, I share with my family our culture, not religion, reminding them that religion, spirituality, and culture have 3 separate meanings, leaving them to think for themselves, because I realize everything is not for everyone, respectively. That's real. I love you all. I'm so much better today.
Right on. I agree with you, dear sister.
Yes.
I'm going to say this, though, and I agree with you. I think I was taught from Khalid Muhammad, one of my spiritual fathers. Sometimes when you see that fire, that's Khalid, distinctively. If you ever hear him speak, he was just like fire.
Yes.
But he used to tell me that the holy books that we know, the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, could be used as a tool to your enslavement or a map to your liberation. And when I think of Sister Harriet Tubman, I'm glad she knew religion, but it didn't hinder her. It allowed her to see to be a tool to her liberation, you know, or a map to her liberation.
Right.
She the same thing with Nat Turner. Like, that's religion he got. However, the two are interchangeable, but they're not the same thing. I think spirituality, it takes work. Anybody could could join something and have to figure it out, because religion gives you like limitations, because you're learning. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily a bad thing. Some of us need that. Some of us don't have the ability to really think for ourselves.
Right.
We can't say like, hey, if you're practicing a different religion, I still have to be courteous and respectful and nice and not beat you up because you're not practicing what I practice. That's going to take you to have some thought of your own. Yeah. Sometimes people use religion because they really haven't dealt with their stuff. You know what I mean? And so they don't always get the translation. I learned growing up, sometimes people will want folks to read for them, which controlled their translation. That's why I like it when I'm in religion and people are reading the books for themselves. That's impressive, or learning to read for themselves. And you get a different interpretation when you read. All of us can read the same thing and get something totally different.
Yeah, that's true.
All of us can do that. I've seen that happen. So I think that religion has been used. Somebody said once that religion, people sometimes use it to shield their own dirty thoughts or whatever it is.
That's true.
And people do that a lot. They do that in spirituality too. I'm not telling you front, But what I figure with spirituality is you really have to work with it. There's no translator for your spirit. Only you can do that. That's a little different. Yeah. That's like, there's times I want somebody to come and do all the work, but I know it don't work that way. I have to go do it for myself. That's just the way it is. Yeah. But some people will be like, I remember when it was a time where I owed the IRS, I would be so afraid to talk to the IRS people on the phone. I'd be scared shit. I'd be like, I have to find somebody that I can pay. And then it was just like, dude, like, you just got to talk to them yourself. I mean, if they get nasty, hang up on them or whatever, But I'm just saying, sometimes you can be so afraid that you really could talk directly to the Creator, Great Spirit, whatever you want to call it, yourself. You really don't need a middleman. Let's be honest, because everything you do on this life, breathing, sitting here, everything you do, you're in co-creation with the Creator. So, I mean, it's nice to have people to translate for you, but it really ain't you. Only you could do you. Because the intentions of your heart, we talked about your intentions, is what the Creator absolutely knows.
That's it.
So you don't even have to say a word, but the Creator will know. And that's a hard sell for people, because some of us, because we've gone through such turmoil, we want people to fix it, but it really doesn't work that way.
Right.
And it's hard. It's like you got to get up and depend. And I agree. But I'm just saying, one of the things, I used to be one of the people who kind of demonize religion, like, because I met some real jerks and people who practice spirituality, talk bad about people and use their religion to beat up on people and shit like that. Right. But that was such a small handful, because I had to remember all the elders I grew up with who were religious, and I watched them do incredible work. And I watched them not pass judgment on people. Sometimes I have to remember when I meet that one jerk, that there's 7 people who are really doing it right. That's like the law of energy. 7 people can come and say, oh my God, this is a beautiful sweater. One person say, this look like crap, and you'll believe the person like crap. So I just watch black folks. We've done amazing things under religion. Let's just be honest. And I'm not trying to take that away from them, but I also seen us do crazy shit under being so-called spiritual. I seen people come and pimp black folks in the name of traditional spirituality. And like, you know, that's why one of the reasons why Africa is in such turmoil, because people use spirituality warfare on people. Yeah. Let's just be honest. I mean, there's people who, you know, one man claimed that he can fix a man's erection if he just rub it in his hand. Did y'all see some of these articles?
What the hell? He gonna jack?
No, y'all, I can't make this stuff up. Y'all didn't see this? I'm gonna have to shit. No, they have, look, and this is usually in Africa, and I'm not just in Africa, I love Africa, I'm an African. But I've seen people do stuff and you be like, dude.
Now I've seen the ones where the preachers are having the women take off their underwear.
I seen that too. So I'm just saying, it's all up to interpretation and translation and how people use some things. That's why I love when Colin said the Bible could be used, the Bible, the Quran, and Torah could be used as a tool to your enslavement or a map to your liberation. Depends on how you translate the book. Nat Turner read the book, it was like, we gotta go to war. We gotta fight back, y'all, because this is not right. Harry Tubman read the book, it was like, we getting the hell out of here, we out, right? It made 19 trips, so it just really depends. And then we know people who are poverty pimps. Every Sunday, millions of dollars of black people's money going to the bank. And you go home and you rent and you living in somebody's basement or their garage. I'm just saying. So it just depends, because that's the human experience. And so I just have to say that, because I'm a spiritualist at heart. But I don't do dogma. I don't care if it's in the Elay. I don't care if it's in the church or a mosque. I don't even care if it's in somebody's garage. They just gonna make some shit up, or in the sister circle. I just don't do that. Because I have free will. I'm a human being. I'm a creator. You know what I'm saying? So, bam.
That's it.
Yes, sis. But I'm right there with you, depending on what denomination we're exposed to allow me. Right, and she's talking about that. And I get that. But I'm just saying, I've been a part of it all. Not all, but to most of it. And I see the same characteristics. Power absolutely corrupts. You know, especially when it's not being checked. If you surround yourself with people and they can't tell you the truth about yourself, all hell's gonna break loose. And I've seen people, like with R. Kelly, all those people who surrounded him, not one of them try to help their brother learn to read, or say, hey dude, this is not natural for you to be doing shit like this, or treat these girls like this, or somebody tell Michael Jackson, like, dude, you a grown ass man, you don't sleep in the bed with children, you don't fucking do that, you're an adult. So, you know, we don't do that. And we know, I mean, he can write beautiful songs and shit like that. But if he's not right in his spirit, y'all, and you're surrounding yourself with parasites and all they want to do is get paid, and they see you bringing harm, because that messes up people's spirit and their soul. And then they have to have children, and then all they can do is pass on that woundedness. Y'all don't stop me talking. That church is going. Y'all got me going up in here.
I know. I feel like I'm feeling
y'all know
really
I'm
good.
in this bed next door. This is my company when I'm easy working. Go ahead.
Queen says, I'm sorry, Queen.
Yeah.
That's why spirituality and self-awareness is important.
Yeah.
Discernment plays a part.
Absolutely.
Right on. But I've seen people, and I agree with you, Ia. I'm right there with you. But I just watch people, because as an African American, we know we are learning who we are. We don't know who we are. So you meet somebody from Africa, I'm just going to be honest, and then we think they speak in their own language. They know their people, their ancestry. We follow these people, and they end up being crazy as hell. So that, I mean, because we think like, oh my God, you know, it's kind of like following a woman, because I hold women in high regards, and then I follow this person, but she really crazy. That could be a problem.
Yes.
Not saying that you crazy, then
I'm a little bit.
But
I agree. I am definitely flawed.
I agree.
Not definitely
I think all information can be used for you too. Yeah. You ain't done it. She said, pass the basket in outer cyberspace. So no, that's all I'm saying.
Cash out.
I just feel like but I know that black folks are such powerful human beings. We always make our way out. That's why no matter what you give us, we take it and we almost make it be something that they didn't even think we could do.
Right.
That's it. Nat Turner. Like they didn't know him even touching that little pieces of the Bible that he was able to touch. That it was going to transform him. But the words are powerful. Words are powerful. Period.
Right.
Yes.
The same way somebody can lift you up with a word, somebody can take you down with a word. That's
right.
how powerful
They
it
can
is.
just heal your spirit off.
Just suck you
That's
out.
so sweet. Never lot of the common sense. But no, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. All right, so y'all hear that band? It's about time for what y'all got going on this week. What y'all got going on? We get on out of here.
What I got going on this week?
Yeah.
Well, not much this week. Working on some online courses, but I will be the lunchtime speaker for the swag event that's coming up February the 23rd.
Right.
Also inviting you all to join me Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. and 9 p.m. on ETTA Radio, Edo Radio. Come and get your nuggets so you can improve your life and live some bliss.
Yes.
Right on.
Yes.
What about you, Dana?
What do I got going on? Do I got something going on this week? Well, y'all, I'm going back to work Monday.
Right
Tomorrow.
on. Yay.
Yeah, I'm getting paid
Okay.
after being on shutdown for 35 days.
35?
Yes. Also, I just want to encourage you guys to support black businesses here at 2251 Foreign Road. They are all doing it. Come support them. Also, this Saturday coming up is the African Marketplace from 12 to 6. Come and support. It's the first Saturday of the month. And I wish you peace and love. And I really, really wholeheartedly want the same thing for you that I want for myself.
Right on, y'all. And so what I got going on today at 4 o'clock, I would have a whole bunch, I have some brothers in here to discuss a male's point of view, a black male's point of view about what they think about some of the stuff that's going on in the universe. And then tomorrow at 4 p.m., I'll have a group of young queens up in here to talk about their perspectives on that. And then, of course, we got the Great Continuum happening on Wednesday with another black married couple. And then on Tuesday, we have Traditional Tuesday where we talk about ways to the path. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on in here, y'all. We got the church rocking next door. See, this is how we made it over. This is how we do it. You don't get no higher vibration than that. So that's what we got going on. I'll see y'all back at 4 o'clock. And remember, y'all, we all we got. And let's make it good with what we got and be true and love each other.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, let's all say, hey.
Amen.
That's all you gotta do. I don't know what they say. You gotta say that for the game round.
You have an amazing day too. Vibrate high by any means necessary.
Right on.
That's it.
Hey.
Let's do it.